Hello and welcome. This is the Friday edition of Business Edge right here on News Central. You know, as we do, we get started with the stock markets, taking a quick look at how they are performing both here on the continent and abroad. We have a special guest joining us to have a conversation about cybersecurity on the continent and outside. So, of course, you want to stick around, but let's take a quick look at those stocks. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, our only headline for today's show, we're taking a look at women in technology, some of the challenges they've been observing, and of course, how we're also moving forward in terms of cybersecurity. I have a very special guest in the studio. You'll get to meet her right after this quick break. Don't forget, we'll also be wrapping things up with NC4 to watch right here on Business Edge. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for staying with me. So let's get into the conversation. Now, due to a shortage of female tech professionals, it is more critical than ever for underrepresented demographics to fill this gap. Now, according to Cybersecurity Ventures, there will be up to 3.5 million job openings by 2021. Meanwhile, women make up only about 20% of the cybersecurity workforce. While this is up from a mere 11% in 2013, there's still a lot of opportunity to be seized in cybersecurity careers. Career analysts posit that perception plays a role in this reality, as women often don't see tech or security as viable career paths because they've often considered to be masculine professions. We have also seen the rise of more female professionals in this field over time. Now, with me to discuss the realities of this professional space, its limitations, and also promises, we have Confidence Staveley. She is a cybersecurity and information technology specialist. Confidence, it's great to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much.
I think I did that introduction a little bit too quickly. We really want to have you understand who we have in the studio with us. Now, she is a cybersecurity thought leader, information technology expert, as well as an entrepreneur. She's also an ethical hacker. Even though most of us have heard more about the unethical kind. She's an ethical hacker with over a decade's worth of experience in technology and business development roles across multiple sectors. She right now is the country manager for Nigeria for DIGISS company, which is a multinational cybersecurity solutions provider. And she leads a world-class team to help clients thwart cybersecurity adversaries by implementing and optimizing security controls that reduce the likelihood of a successful breach. So we'll get into all of that in this conversation. Again, Confidence, welcome to the show.
Thank you
so
very
much. All right, so let's talk about this. You are a woman in tech, a woman in this particular space, and I would hope that over the years you've seen more women come into the space, but it has been a space that has remained quite traditionally male-dominated. What do you think can change to make this space more of a viable career path, as I said earlier, for young women and for women who are interested in tech?
Okay, so first and foremost, I think it's removing the hood. So
the hood.
Yeah, so the hood is the myth around these career paths being so tough to follow, so maybe difficult, especially midlife, to sort of go along with it. But I don't think that's the case. We need to reach out to younger girls, hold their hands, and basically tell them, you know, the realities of the industry. It's like any other. As long as you have the passion for it, you can go for it and reach the height of your career. Nothing is going to stop you, not even the challenges in the industry. So one of the key reasons why people shy away from technology generally is the need to always learn. And I think that that's also a thing of personality. So if you're interested in things that are fast-paced, you're interested in things that require you to constantly pick up knowledge, and anything that doesn't require you to always learn, it will be boring, then I think technology is the place to be. So I think we should also play the roles as women to show how exciting this part is. I talk about technology and cybersecurity and people see my eyes light up.
I can sort of see the energy coming out of you right now.
Yes, because it's something I'm passionate about, and I think that's something we can show younger girls, and it's from very early times in school, career days. You know, we need to get more into those career days.
Even just the simple coding classes.
Yes, coding classes during the holidays. Yes, so mentoring is another thing. We need to just put our hands out there and hold younger people up.
All right, so now let's get into some of the technicalities of this. We hear that the U.S. government tends to spend about $19 billion, if not more, every single year in terms of cybersecurity. But we still see that cyber attacks continue. They're getting better. They're getting bigger. One of the more recent cases and high profile we can point to, of course, it happened with the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. So we've seen that. Now, in terms of the continent, it's not a conversation we tend to have a lot as to what these kind of things cost the continent. And it depends on who you talk to. The number does tend to vary. But what do you think cyber attacks cost the continent? How is it affecting us? Sort of bringing down an international conversation and localizing it to the African context.
Okay, so for starts, it's costing us from the last review, I think in 2017 or 18 that was done, it's over $600 million a year. And this is in cybersecurity losses doesn't necessarily translate to just money losses. There is reputation losses. There is time losses. There's a whole lot that you can lose. And again, because we have a culture of hush hush around this kind of incident. So when there's a cyber breach, so your company, for example, is hacked, or for example, your company loses money in a business email compromise. You know, it's hush hush. We always approach cybersecurity issues like, I would know this is very controversial, but as like rape. So we always just, you know, I'm the victim, I caused it, so let me be quiet about it. But that's not the way we solve this issue. We should solve it in coming out and saying this is what happened, and, you know, informing customers, for example, so they can also protect themselves. Because when people's confidential information is exposed, then people are more exposed to falling for fraudulent scams and stuff like that. So also drawing the learnings from things that have happened and sharing them with the rest of the community also guards against future occurrences. So yes, it's something we're not talking about, but we definitely need to start talking about it, especially under the era of the NDPR. And of course, considering that Africa is now being seen as a low-hanging fruit for cyber criminals. Until we come together and talk about the challenges in this space and of course forge very strong frontiers in attacking and solving this problem, we will not make great headway. And
it's interesting you say that, because Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria have been identified as the countries on the continent that pay the heaviest prices in terms of cyber attacks, and banks and offices are now being more frequently hacked than before. And another very high profile case we had was in South Africa, when one of the cities was also attacked and shut down. and they were demanding, I think cryptocurrency was what they were, Bitcoin particularly was what they were demanding. And we see that we don't hear a lot about some of our cities and governments really prepping for ways to deal with this. And we don't even really see hackathons. We're not seeing even curriculum change so that we're educating young people and we can fill these millions of jobs that are going to be open.
Exactly.
You're nodding your head, so I understand this must be like a very vital point.
It's a very vital point, because until we're able to bring in cybersecurity into the curriculum, we're also able to get the next generation of cybersecurity talent into the space and make cybersecurity something that people would want to learn. We would then be able to arm our workforce with the right talent to protect them. Another key thing that we are not doing, apart from the curriculum changes and of course driving learning around cybersecurity, is we are not driving as much threat intelligence as I would think we should do as a country. And we also don't have enough budget around the things that we need to do around, say, creating SOCs or creating threat intelligence channels and bringing together subject matter experts, bringing together industry players to just drive intelligence gathering. And of course, when we receive intelligence too, we're not disseminating that to other people who need to get their intelligence. The financial sector is doing excellent, but of course, they're the ones
because they have a lot of money to lose, their reputation that will lose their money.
They're the apparent guys who will lose. But think about it. We are digitizing a lot in the oil sector. We are digitizing a lot in the education space. You know, recently, my company got to find out about a breach, you know, that was involving an educational body. You know, so that is also a risk that no one is thinking about. We have stuff that's already happened in the health sector, and we have stuff that recently my company got uncovered just last night around an online shopping space. Those are all things that we need to do something about, because all of those personal information exposed is what makes fraud easier to execute. When someone calls you on the phone and they can tell you almost everything about yourself but one little piece, you're more in tune with believing them because they're already providing so
and
much
then you
of information,
provide that little
and then
piece.
you provide that little piece. So we need to think about it holistically, that we need to drive more wholesome attitude towards attacking cyber fraud. Because you know why? The fraudsters, the cyber criminals, they share so much, and that's why they're so successful. They share a lot of intelligence, they share a lot of tools. If we're able to drive that kind of interest in the way we share information, in the changes we make with our curriculum, in investments we make in cybersecurity, because it's not a cheap place. We need to invest in cybersecurity generally to beef up our security, because we are actually a target now.
All right, so let's talk more about that when we come back. Confidence is still with me in the studio. We'll get into more conversations around end user protection, how you and I can protect ourselves while we're waiting for our governments to work harder at protecting our national spaces, and a lot more, of course, in terms of the work that she does as the country manager of her company. We'll be right back. This is Business Edge. Do stay with us. I still have cybersecurity experts and information technology expert Confidence Staveley in the studio with me. We're talking women in technology and, of course, technology and cybersecurity. So we've had this conversation now looking at the fact that Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa are being heavily targeted for cyber attacks. Governments, as you said, are not spending enough money. They're not even really identifying what the future holds for them. Curriculum has not changed. And it also makes it interesting because we consider how the youth population of many of these countries are looking for jobs. And these are jobs that you can do remotely. remotely for a lot of people. You can do this job here in Nigeria, here in Kenya or South Africa, and you can be working for an American company, a European company. So there's also employment there, but we haven't seen the move to address that side of it. But when you're looking at it from a personal position, I'm very sure that right now trying to get into your phone or your laptop will probably be like entering Fort Knox. But for an individual such as myself, what about end user protection for me? What about cybersecurity measures I should take advantage of or look to implement? And then also in this world of apps, we saw the app where everybody was doing the 10-year challenge, and it came out that it was possibly a company in Russia collecting data, and microphones are tracking you. If I type one thing into my search engine now, I'll go to Instagram and I'll just be seeing sponsored ads. So all of that, because it's part of it's a part of everyday life now. But how do we continue to protect our own information and of course access?
Okay, it's very interesting that you brought that up, because Tuesday was Data Privacy Day. So we're having these conversations about privacy for individuals, how much data is collected by organizations across the world that can be shared to third parties, and what must you do that's ethical around sharing that data. So it's an ongoing conversation. But I'd say one of the top tips I like to share for individuals to protect themselves is, think about it. Have you been using the same toothbrush since you were in secondary school?
Of course not.
Of course not. So why do we have people have one password for ages? And why do we have people have one password that they use everywhere? It's totally wrong, because of the age we live in, which data breaches are happening every day. Canva was hacked the other day. So for example, if you use that password that you use on Canva, what happens is that the cyber criminal can have access to your email and can commit all sorts of criminal activities from in your name. So using the same password for a long time or using the same password everywhere is a no-no. Now, another key thing I always tell people is to turn on two-factor authentication. And this is the way I put it. What's better than one? Two. So if you have a second level to verify that you are who you say you are, so aside providing a username and password, you provide maybe a code from your phone, or you provide something that is generated by you and it's only you who can pull that up. It makes it more difficult for someone to gain unauthorized access to your accounts. And then that's generally what needs to happen. So across every platform where possible, turn on two-factor authentication on your email, on your Instagram account, because yes, people are hacking people's Instagram accounts to use it to defraud their friends and family. Because you know, when you post something and I'm your friend, I'm more in tune with seeing that as truth, because it's come from you. I respect you. I've been good friends with you. And then that's creating a chain of people losing money. And again, I like to think about it this way. Every time we lose money to cyber criminals, we are running a parallel economy. We are strengthening their hands, because cybercrime is the terrorism of our day and time. It's terrorizing our innovation. It's terrorizing our freedom to use technology. So every time we think about it that way, I think it's going to give us a sense of urgency to address the issues that are involved. So that's one of the key tips. I'll also say use free Wi-Fi with caution. Yes, so when you're at the airport trying to catch a flight from, say, London, or say from whatever part of the world, whatever hub, from Dubai to another part of the world, and you just want to quickly access your mails, hold down the urge to do that over free Wi-Fi, because fraudsters and cyber criminals can just set up shop and look like they're the airport Wi-Fi, for example, and then that free Wi-Fi you plug in, and you find out that all of the information you're sharing, or all of the information,
every keystroke
is being copied. Wow. Another key thing I like to tell people is, there is currently, with the intelligence we've gathered, there's a malware that's currently spreading via email. Now, email is one of the easiest ways to drive or to spread malware. So malware is harmful software for your computer or your computing device. So let's get that out of the way. So one of the easiest ways to spread that is via email. So be cautious about downloading attachments, even from people you know.
I've seen those emails will just say, subject to what we talked about, please download. We didn't have any conversation. So please don't download, because they are really sharing, and don't click links in emails for clicking's sake. So for example, if you see your bank sends you an email, it will be wiser to actually type the URL of your bank on your web browser and go there than trying to click a link in an email, because your bank can be impersonated, for example, and it happens so many times around in Nigeria. So again, spreading of malware could also mean that if you get that malware on your computer, there are types of them that are called keyloggers. send emails to your...
aside that, it can record everything you say such that, or type such that someone else has your details. Okay. So, yeah.
Confidence, there's a lot of conversation to be had.
Yeah.
And I'm very sure we're going to have you back, but I want to quickly touch on something very quickly. You work as the cyber fraud, you work in cyber fraud intelligence with Digital Information Security Solutions. You're their country manager here in Nigeria. Just quickly tell us, what does this role entail? What is the work that you do in this company? Very quickly.
Okay, so the work I do is basically I manage teams across different offerings we have. We have around cyber fraud intelligence. We have around cyber security, cloud security. We have around cyber security program development. So I manage teams, implementing these technologies. I manage teams also selling the technology and our solutions. So I man all of those teams and just drive the services that we offer within Nigeria. That's what I do. Again, very interesting, you had mentioned that cybersecurity is one of those careers where you can work somewhere else, another part of the world. Remote. We actually provide that service. So we provide what's called cyber talent as a service to other parts of the world. So cyber talents in Nigeria actually get to work for some of our clients outside of Nigeria.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we're going to have you back. It feels like we're just barely scratching the surface on this conversation. But I've had with me in the studio Confidence Staveley. She's the country manager for DIGISS, and of course she's a cybersecurity expert as well as information technology expert. And this is just the beginning of a conversation that will be highlighting some of the cybersecurity conversations that need to be had. The continent is losing about $600 million every single year. South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria are in the eye of the storm. Banks and now municipalities and countries as well as cities are the targets of more frequent cyber attacks. How do we prepare for this new world? And then how do we get our young people involved? This is a sector where employment could run into the millions. It's a conversation that starts and will continue right here on Business Edge. All right, to wrap things up, we get into NC4 to watch, and let's take that right now. Telecoms firm MTN has announced that it's going to invest $1.6 billion in Nigeria. The company announced that it will invest that amount of money after it resolved a major legal case with the government in its biggest market. Moroccan banks respond to King's call for cheaper SME loans. Now, banks will offer loans for small and medium-sized enterprises and young entrepreneurs at interest rates of not more than 2% in urban areas and 1.75% in rural regions after King Mohammed VI called for easier access to funding. South Africa's Eskom resumes power blackouts. This is not good news. The ailing power utility resumed nationwide power cuts, thereby cutting up to 2,000 megawatts from the grid as it struggles to replace the emergency capacity it used this week to keep lights on. And finally, South Africa's national carrier to cut flights to ease cash flow. Cash-strapped state carrier South African Airways announced that it will cancel and consolidate selected flights to lower costs days after it received a 3.5 billion rand government bailout to ease a mounting cash flow crunch. Thank you so much, Confidence, for joining me, as well as you out there for joining the show today. We'll be back. Until then, stay profitable and remember to stay with us right here on News Central. We keep Africa first. I'm Tolulope Adeleru-Balogun.